Hello everyone, it's Nick Dove here. How you going? Got another episode here for you to read. I'm a little bit tired this morning, but I've sort of gotten into the routine of reading these experiences out and actually really enjoying it. So if I sound a little bit tired this morning, I've just done a few days in a row at work and I didn't sleep that well last night, but I still want to do this experience for myself and for you guys. So hopefully it's a good one and hopefully we can enjoy it all together. This one is from someone called Chantal. And it's on the mderf.org website. On May the 15th, 1991, I felt extreme pain in my abdomen. Friends took me to the emergency. The doctor there examined me briefly. He said they would keep me under observation for the night. He gave me no medication or anything. He did not even take my blood pressure. The nurse wheeled me into my room where I was alone. She put the buzzer next to my pillow, saying to press it if I needed anything. I was in a great deal of pain. I felt like I was burning up with a fever or something. Breathing was increasingly difficult. I reached a point where I became aware that death was near. So, trying to muster all my strength, I was able to press the button, but no one came. All of a sudden, I felt as if a mountain had collapsed on me. I could no longer move. I had the sensation of sinking into the mattress. I watched as my lungs deflated. I could not take a breath. I realized then that I was dying. I watched as I exhaled my last breath. Amazingly, I was not afraid. Then I felt a vibration in my body. That is when I started feeling that my consciousness was leaving my feet, then my arms, and then my trunk. I wondered what would happen when it got to my head. My consciousness left my body by the crown of my head. I found myself floating, like in a cloud. There were no buildings, no structures, just light and love. I was so wonderfully well. All of my pain and worries just melted away. I was bathed in love. All of a sudden I noticed a movement to my left. It was a light coming towards me. As I looked at it, I noticed that this light was a being of light. As this being of light approached me, I started experiencing all kinds of images in my mind. At first, I thought he or she was communicating with me telepathically, but then I realized all these images were memories, my memories. I was remembering who I really am. It was like an amnesiac who regains their memory. I had total recall of who I really was. I was this old being who had always existed. I was wise and loving. I remember knowing everything, not so much from an intellectual point of view. I knew what it was like to be a flower, or to be an animal, or to be an insect. All the knowledge of the universe was inside my being. I no longer felt as a separate individual. I felt as if I was part of a collective consciousness. I sensed billions and billions of beings, and we were all one. The feeling of oneness on the other side is amazing. I remember distinctively how we created the solar system too. I was part of this collective consciousness that had willed it into being. I remembered we had done so for the purpose of experiencing mortality. It was so important to my soul to come to earth and to experience mortality. I then remembered asking to be born. The moment this memory came to mind, I also remembered having agreed to accomplish a mission. I came to earth to accomplish a mission. All of a sudden I realized that I had not accomplished this mission. My joy and serenity turned into anguish. I had failed to accomplish my mission. I had never felt so sad. But sad is not the word. I felt anguish. I felt like a failure. Nothing else I'd accomplished while in this life mattered to me. I was a failure. The being of light by my side, sensing my anguish, asked me, "Would you like to stay or would you like to go back?" I immediately replied with thought, as our communication was by thought, "I must go back. I have not accomplished my mission." In that moment, I sensed I was going backward into a tunnel and found myself back in my body. The first thing I remember is hearing the words, "She is coming back. She is coming back," uttered by a nurse. I opened my eyes and could see 3 nurses and the doctor that I'd seen at the emergency. I was hooked up to machines. The doctor came to me, put his hand on my forehead, and said, "Don't worry, we are not going to lose you again. You are a very sick girl, but we will not lose you again. We will transfer you into a different hospital in another city, and you will remain in intensive care until we find out what is going on." "I won't die. Don't worry," I said. They put me in an ambulance and sent me to the other hospital. The poor paramedic in the ambulance was afraid I would die on her. She kept checking my vitals. I assured her that I was not going to die. It is during this ambulance trip that I realized I could no longer remember my mission. I had forgotten already. I came back from a heavenly state to accomplish this mission and forgot what it was shortly after re-entering my body. This was a life-transforming event, and I thought it was over, but I was wrong. It seems that once the door between both worlds is opened, it never closes again. I started experiencing all kinds of paranormal activities after this. It started with my sense of sight. It would change and I could see the matrix of all life. Then it moved to my sense of hearing. I started hearing a voice. I was instructed to build a temple, and I was given a vision on how to build it. In this temple, I get visions and I'm developing very unusual abilities. But I won't go into any more detail here. Suffice to say that my life has been transformed by the near-death experience and by the abilities I have developed as a result of it. So that's the end of that experience. Just a really, really short one today, but there's a couple of questions at the end here I'm going to read out. So at the end of this experience, the guy called Jeffrey, I don't know who Jeffrey is, he's written an email to her, and this is his email. It says, "Thank you for sharing your remarkable NDE with ndurf.org. There is so much about your experience that is astounding. But one thing I noted was your very clear memory of participating in creating the solar system. Any further details you could share about that would be greatly appreciated. I was just curious how you created it. There are apparently innumerable solar systems in the universe. Were they all created? When was the solar system creation started? After the Big Bang formation of the universe? Was there something special that you needed to do to create the solar system for it to allow life? Sorry to ask so many questions. Don't feel the need to answer any or all of them if you don't want to. If we hear from anyone that would like to contact you as per your request and your experience, we would be happy to forward their message to you. Thanks again for sharing." And this is what Chantal says in reply to that email. "Thank you so much for your email. My apologies for not replying sooner. The other side, for lack of a better word, is nothing like I expected. Even though I had always believed in an afterlife, I had not imagined it in this way. The feeling of oneness is outstanding. I was totally surprised when I ceased to be Chantal and became the one I really am. I remembered everything about the life of Chantal, but that was like a role I had played in a play. I was this very old soul who had always existed, older than time itself. The other surprising thing was the feeling of being a part of a collective consciousness. I sensed that everything was alive and that had ever lived was part of this consciousness. It retained the experiences of each being in its collective memory. This is why I knew everything. The knowledge of this collective became mine. It is a different kind of knowledge, though. It is not intellectual but experiential. Furthermore, it was not limited just to human experiences. I knew what it felt like to be a flower and to be a stone. I realized that life and consciousness are synonymous, and that inanimate objects also have consciousness. They are made of atoms and particles just like humans are. The memory of participating in the creation of the solar system was definitely the most unexpected part of my experience. It sounds like a sacrilege just to mention it, and yet the collective consciousness that I was a part of willed it into being. I am sorry, but I cannot tell you exactly how we did it. I remember that it was our collective will and focus that brought it into being. Matter simply formed at our command. 1 minute it was energy, and the next it was matter. It formed in the shape that we willed it to be. I remember how important equilibrium was. Every particle had to be in perfect balance and harmony with the rest. All of the planets had to be in equilibrium with the sun and each other. There was great joy among us, for this creation had a purpose of the highest importance. It would allow us to experience mortality. I cannot tell you if every solar system in the universe was created the same way. I cannot comment about the Big Bang Theory. All I know is that this solar system was created by a collective consciousness, and this is for a purpose of great importance. Each being of this collective consciousness asked to come to this earth to experience life, knowing that each experience would benefit the collective. We each agreed to accomplish a certain mission. I wondered after my NDE what percentages of people do accomplish their mission. Are those who have not yet accomplished it always given the choice to come back? I experienced such anguish when I realized I had failed to accomplish my mission. I did not hesitate 1 second to come back when given the choice to do so. I knew I was going to be in a sick body and an unhappy life, and yet that did not matter to my soul. If I just had to come back to accomplish my mission. I forget what my mission is upon re-entering my body. It is like a veil of forgetfulness that closes again. It drove me crazy. How could I forget my mission when I remembered so clearly other aspects of my NDE, such as participating in the creation of the solar system? I sought the help of a hypnotherapist who helped me to remember. He believed in NDEs and had attempted to regress other NDEs without success. He told me he doubted it would work. He asked me this question: have you ever considered that you are not supposed to remember? I must say that thought had never crossed my mind, but it made sense. There had to be a reason for me to forget. Instead of acquiring an intellectual knowing of my mission, maybe I was attempting to gain an experiential knowing, to feel it in my guts. Money being very tight, then I decided not to undergo hypnosis. I could talk for hours about the journey I have had since my NDE, about the paranormal things that started occurring afterwards, but this will suffice. I'm sorry I cannot tell you more about the creation of the solar system. Maybe under hypnosis I would remember more. I never paid much attention to these abilities until now. Actually, in the beginning, I tried to repress them. But I feel very strongly now that I have to make contact with others like me. Thank you for taking our account seriously and providing us with an opportunity to share our accounts with each other and with others. This may very well be part of your mission. And then she goes on a little bit more. I'll keep reading a bit more and see if it's anything interesting. She says, okay, so my NDE occurred 21 years ago, and the events are not as fresh in my memory as they used to be. One important detail I remember this morning was that the being of light was showing me the creation of the solar system on something that looked like a giant screen. I remember having participated in it. Not sure why I had forgotten this important detail. It was definitely willed into being for allowing us to experience life. Did it start as a cloud? That I cannot say for sure. I am trying to remember. I clearly see the beings of light to the left of me and the front and the screen in front a bit to the right with the pictures of the solar system. As I watched, I remember having participated in its creation. Actually, I stopped thinking in terms of I and started thinking in terms of we. We, the collective consciousness. We had willed it into being. There was a plan in place. We would take turns coming into mortality and experience life in all of its aspects and bring the experience back to the collective. I really got the sense that there was no good or bad experiences, just experiences. Yet, we each agreed to accomplish a certain mission. This mission was going to serve my soul and the collective enormously. When trying to explain this collective, I usually use the following analogy. Let's pretend you are a water in a glass of water. So you are contained in the glass. Then someone pours you the water in the glass into the ocean. You still exist. Every particle of you still exists. But now you're a part of an ocean where there are billions and billions like you. You are now one with the ocean. You are all one. On the other side, you are a soul, a very old one, magnificent, wise, powerful soul. And you are the one within the collective. The sense of unity is amazing. There is no sense of separation like there is on this side. And then she starts talking about a couple of her paranormal events. She says, my first paranormal event occurred to me, happened about 2 weeks ago after the NDE. I'd been staying with friends after I got out of hospital. The day they brought me home, I got out of the car and looked at the big tree in front of my house. All of a sudden, my vision changed and I could see the matrix of life. This is very hard to explain. I'm not sure what I saw was its aura as much as its soul. It was vibrant with life. More importantly, I saw that it was connected to this tree by a cord coming out of my solar plexus, a vibrational cord. When I looked at the grass, this cord connected to me as well. Then I looked at the gravel, and this cord connected me to it too. Then I stayed connected to it, vibrationally. Everything I paid attention to, this cord would connect me to it. I understood that we are all connected at this energy level. Then my vision came back to normal. Once home, I mentioned to a few friends about my near-death experience and the change in my vision. Some of the girls working here for the summer was doing her master's degree in anthropology. She asked me if she could interview me. I agreed and told her my story of the NDE and the change in my vision. She told me that a shaman had mentioned this vibrational cord coming out of his solar plexus, linking him to all life whenever he was in a trance. I was so happy to hear that I hadn't had an hallucination. On the other side, I did not have to account for the good or bad things I had done. I was loved and cherished no matter what. I had to account to my own soul for the fact that I had failed to accomplish my mission. I had lost the purpose for which my soul had entered this particular sojourn. This brought me closer to hell than anything else I had ever experienced in my life. Words cannot express the anguish I had felt for having failed to accomplish the only thing that really mattered. I'm so grateful for having been given another chance to accomplish it. And I think I'll leave it there. That's the end anyway. But so I have to leave it there. But yeah, not a bad little experience. There's a few things I liked in that. I liked that I liked how it gave us a bit of an idea of how this universe was created. Obviously, a question that all of us would think about from time to time. Some of us more than others. I do it quite often. I used to love just getting high and sitting back and looking at the stars and wondering what the hell is this place? What's this all about? Why am I here? What is the purpose of this place? And it's always good to find a near death experience where they try and give us a little bit more information as to why this place is here, at least, or answer some of these questions. And she tries to remember, but as per usual with these near death experiences, there's some sort of veil and memory blocker between the other dimension and this physical reality that you and I are living in right now. But at least she gives us a little bit of a clue. She says she's watching this giant screen and this being of light give her a little bit more of information and a bit of a video, it sounds like, on the creation of the universe. And her memory is patchy, but she is able to recall that we willed it into being. Now, I don't know what that means. It's like we wanted it to happen, we imagined it to happen, we as a collective decided we wanted to have a universe where we could experience life as mortal beings and just thought and willed it into being, and the next thing we knew it was starting to come into existence. I like how she also attempts to explain this collective consciousness, and it when I was reading through this I was thinking, okay, so there's you and me and we're in this physical body right now, and we eventually lose this physical body, and then we go back to this oneness where we're all sort of in an ocean-like environment, but it's obviously in the next dimension. And then I was thinking, well, okay, that's cool. We're the collective, and you and me, we made this universe, and we're made of obviously God-like particle. And then I'm thinking, okay, so what, then what is God? Is God separate to this collective consciousness? Is God that collective consciousness? Is God a separate entity to you and me? I mean, all these experiences say we're connected, but it's confusing because a lot of experiences will say they see this light and they figure that this light is God, this light is the creator, and this experience is telling us that you and me are the creators, you and me are God, you and me as a collective are the ones that have made this world and this universe as we know it, and there's no mention really of God in this experience whatsoever. So yeah, it's just it's one of these dichotomies where you get potentially two different answers to the same question. Like there is a God and then there is us, but we are God and we're all the same thing at the same time. So it's confusing and difficult to understand from my point of view anyway. I mean, I get both sides of the argument. I get that we are individual entities, but in this particular realm, this physical realm, but when we die and we lose this body, we are the entities that we are underneath all this shell of a body we have merges back into the oneness, and we still we still retain a bit of separate individualness, but we become incredibly connected and part of this collective consciousness. And I get that, but then the part I don't get is what's the difference between this collective consciousness and God, and if we're the ones that have created this universe, aren't we the gods? And maybe that is the answer. Maybe God is this collective consciousness, and we, we're part of this collective consciousness. We're part of God, and um, we're just all here having our little mission down on earth at the moment. And this is another part of this experience I found quite interesting, how she talks about our purpose and our mission here on earth. And as usual, it's very frustrating because she goes back and dies and has this experience in the afterlife and gets told what her mission was. And unlike most people, she says, look, I want to go back immediately. As soon as she figures out that she hasn't completed her mission on earth, it's like a no-brainer to her. She might feel loved and in a place of divine beauty, but she doesn't care. It's more important to her soul to get back to this planet and to complete the mission that she came here to do, even though she knows that she's going back into a body that is going to be suffering and in pain. And and she even says she knows that the life she's going to live is not going to be a happy one. It's going to contain a lot of suffering, and I think we can all relate to that. I think everyone's life is going to have its challenges and moments where there's going to be a lot of darkness. But in most cases, people, when they're given this option, do they want to stay in this other realm, in this heaven-like realm, or do they want to come back to earth? They almost 99% of the time will say that, oh, I want to stay, and there's usually something like a family member or kids that makes them change their mind, or some other being that tells them they have to come back here to complete their mission. But this person's different. She says, no, I haven't done my mission. I want to do this. I feel like a failure if I don't get through this lifetime. She says she feels a lot of anguish and anxiety, and she decides to come back. So she doesn't really talk much about what these paranormal gifts are that when she comes back. I tried reading that last paragraph. I'm just trying to find it again. So she says that when she comes back into her body, she's got these paranormal gifts, and she says she doesn't really want to go into it the first time, and then this guy emails her and said, "Can you provide a little bit more detail?" So she does, and I didn't really get what she was talking about. I didn't really understand the paragraph, so I'm just going to read through it again. So the first paranormal event that occurred to me happened about 2 weeks after my near-death experience. I'd been staying with friends after I got out of the hospital. The day they brought me home, I got out of their car and looked at the big tree in front of my house. All of a sudden, my vision changed and I could see the matrix of life. See, the matrix of life. I don't get that line, but anyway, I'm following as much as I can so far, so hopefully you are as well. She goes, this is very hard to explain. I am not sure what I saw was its aura as much of its soul. It was vibrant with life. I guess she's talking about this tree here. More importantly, I saw that I was connected to this tree by a cord coming out of my solar plexus, a vibrational cord. When I looked at the grass, this cord connected me to it as well. Then I looked at the gravel, and the cord connected me to that too. When I say connected to it, I meant vibrationally. Everything I paid attention to, this cord would connect me to. I understood that we are all connected at the energy level. then my normal vision came back to me. So, yeah, this is just an interesting way, I think, of having this connection that all these near-death experiences told to us in a more visual way, in a way we can understand it. It seems that all of us, you and me and everything doesn't matter if it has a heartbeat or if it's just a supposedly inanimate object like a desk. It just there is some connection there between us all. It's some sort of energy field that keeps this place together, and I can sort of get what she's talking about. Like I can feel a sort of connection to things in things like trees. I definitely feel a sort of I don't know. I look at an old tree and I get a sort of feeling off it, an energy off it, and connection to it. I guess is a way of describing. It's hard to describe it. Just it'll just I'll see I'll be driving along and I'll see a beautiful old tree or and suddenly my awareness will be drawn to it, and it's like there's a connection there just for a little bit of a moment. And yeah, it's just something I've noticed over the last couple of years, and I don't know what that is, but I guess this experience is telling us we are all made of the same stuff, and I guess we're all connected. So and I guess now that I'm sober and straight, I'm noticing that connection a little bit more. And I think a lot of people know exactly what I'm talking about here. It's the same thing as when you're walking through nature and you feel that when you are in a forest or bushland and you are able to just let go of everything that is dragging you down in the material world, and you just feel that peace and at ease. And this is what the feeling I get sometimes when I just look at a tree. It takes me away from all my problems, supposed problems, and just for that moment, I just feel a tiny bit of peace. And I think that's why people are drawn to nature. They are able to lose themselves a little bit and reconnect with who they truly are when they aren't distracted by so many things that can distract you in the modern day world. All the gadgets, the phones, the computers, the other people, your job, your family, TV, radio, fighting neighbours, anything. There's a lot to take you away from who you truly are in this place, and I guess that's part of the journey. So yeah, I like this experience. It gives us a few little clues as to answers of some of these bigger questions. I know I certainly have anyway. So although it doesn't answer them in the detail that I would have preferred, at least it gives us some pointers as to how this place is and why this place is, and I liked how it describes the reason for it being made too. I'll just try and find that bit. So yeah, she says the reason for this place being created by you and me and all of us and God. She doesn't mention God, but I guess based on what this experience is telling us, there's no difference between you and me and God. It's all the same thing. So she says, well, this place was created to experience mortality. So that, it sounds horrible, but, this place we have created so we can feel like what it is like to have a life that isn't eternal. It's constantly changing. You're going from a baby to a teenager to an adult to middle age to elderly and death eventually. And I guess that is a miraculous thing when you think about it and think about who's actually creating this. It's beings that are eternal. So when you're eternal, I guess you would like to experience the opposite of that, and this is what you get. You get your life in a body that is human and prone to errors and imperfect, and it's going to be a tough thing to know that this life doesn't go forever, and it is a tough thing in terms of this body anyway, but it is comforting to know underneath all that there is something immortal and everlasting, and the experience I'm having as me, and you're having as you is just a temporary thing, and eventually we get to go back home and share our experience with the collective and improve the collective's knowledge. But yeah, it's interesting how she also talks about what this collective intelligence is like. She says it's not really like an intellectual intelligence, not like a wisdom intelligence. It's just every person, every living thing's experience all molded into one, and she's able to tap into whatever experience she likes and see how that was, and relive it, and use that to improve her wisdom, I guess. So yeah, a lot of little interesting points in this experience, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So let's have a couple of minutes of silence and reflection and gratitude for the life that we have right now, and the awareness after reading these experiences that life is eternal, and this body we're living in now is a tremendous gift, but it's going to bring challenges, and just to be grateful to know that beneath all that we have an eternal soul that will never die. So I'm just trying to think if I've got anything further to say, and I think I'll leave it there. That experience, I'm just reflecting on it myself, and trying to get my head around the fact that we are the creators of the universe, and when we die, we can, go and do all these cool things like relive experiences of other people or other beings on other planets, or uh, just, I don't know, it's just going to be so amazing when we get to this other place. It sounds incredible, and I say all that with, looking forward to it, but at the same time, we're here right now in a human body, and that is a miraculous thing that we're having this experience that is absolutely incredible. So, although I look forward to this next stage of my existence and your existence, I'm going to try to be more appreciative of this special little vehicle I use to experience this physical realm in, and to, get every moment I can out of it, and to try and put as much love as I can out there, because this place certainly needs it. I don't know what exactly my mission is either, but that feels like it's definitely a direction my soul is pulling me in, and I just want to get better at it. And yeah, so thank you for listening to another episode of Afterlife Pod. If you want to contact me, my email is podafterlife@gmail.com, or if you want to, you can probably find me on Facebook. I don't go on Facebook that much, but I still check it every now and then. And my name is Nick Dove, and it'll be City, Melbourne, and I think my photo has me with a cap on it. If you want to see what I look like I do sometimes if I'm listening to a podcast and I am curious about the person, but it's not about me. This podcast is about the message and what it brings, and hopefully makes your life a little bit more bearable, and takes away a little bit of fear of death, and gives you a bit of hope or faith or belief, or more knowing. Like for me, it's just reassuring the knowing I already have, and hopefully giving you that knowing too, that life is eternal, and those ones who are no longer with us in this physical realm are definitely still there, just not in the form they used to be, and they will be there when you leave here too, to greet you, and probably a lot of other people you've totally forgotten about. But anyway, let's leave it there. Love you. Thank you for listening. Talk to you next week. Yeah, I thought I should mention this new song at the end here is a song from a TV show I just watched, The White Lotus, and I kind of like the opening credit music, so I thought I'd play this for a few weeks and till I get sick of it, and then I'll probably try something else. I don't know, just some other music just to change it up a bit. So hopefully you like it. Talk soon. Bye.